Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and as the title suggests, today I'm going to be talking about my writing, reading, and channel goals for 2021. The other important thing that I really want to talk about this time is the systems I'm going to be putting into practice to achieve these goals. So sort of the habit building aspect of this. In fact, as some of y'all know, I've actually been starting my New Year's resolutions in December. So I'm currently in the middle of a vlog where I'm trying to put those habit changes and new systems into practice. I'll sort of be tweaking things as I go along, so be sure to look out for that video. But let's go ahead and jump into the goals. I will have timestamps linked, like right here somewhere. So you can feel free to skip around. For writing, my overarching goals are, of course, millwordy and tracking, less so the million and more so the tracking. My rereading, rewriting, drafting, line editing, all sorts of things. How long does that process take me for each novel? And then how long does that take me? Can I like extrapolate any of that data for the type of genre, the sort of story that I'm working on? Yes, so that's number one. Number two is publishing my stories 4 through 12, maybe 12, under the pen name this year. I have 4 and 5 already drafted and 6 conceptualized, so I think this is doable. That's the goal. 3 is publish the first Meridian Maps book. Of course, when I was talking about my Kanban board, I mentioned that there are a whole lot of like sub goals that would ultimately lead up to this goal, right? So in the new year, I'm gonna be rewriting the first Meridian Maps book with the knowledge that I have, having zero drafted all 5, so that I can incorporate more of that foreshadowing and world building into the first book. It shouldn't be a huge overhaul in terms of plot, more so like the minutia, yes. Then I'll need to give it to some new beta readers and, you know, probably repeat that process at least once more before I send it off to an editor. So late 2021 is the publication goal. I don't have a month in mind yet. Oh, speaking of the Kanban board, I'm actually moving it to Trello since my sticky notes keep falling. So doing more of a virtual Kanban board now. I'll let y'all know how that goes for me. The 4th writing goal is to query project death. And now I have put these in terms of importance. The millwordy one, the first one in the tracking, is important to me, but is not like as important. I just think it's gonna go along with all these others, right? But the pen name, the Meridian Maps one, and then Project Death there's a hierarchy is what I'm trying to say. Which means that I actually don't know that I'm going to get to the rest of my writing goals this year, but I still wrote them down just in case. So because traditional publishing and the whole YA market is changing so much, so like this is to be determined, but I wanted to have another standalone YA fantasy novel that I could pair with Project Death in case I did get an agent and it sold in a deal. They are often 2-book deals, so that was my strategizing. I finally came up with the concept. It definitely needs more mulling over, but that's gonna be like sort of 5, is mull over this YA fantasy standalone. Number 6 is my YA contemporaries. Besides Project Purple, I had started several of these and they're all more or less outlined. Some of them have like 20,000 words in them, some have like 5,000 words in them. But I would like to get that a little bit farther along. I'm thinking the Bi Girl Summer Camp one is going to be my focus. So that's number 6. And then we get into this whole 7 subsection that's more just like strategizing. I have this really cool self-publishing series idea that I would like to do. It's one of those where you don't have to read every single one, but you know, the characters would be featured. It would be so cool. I have all of my dumb, fun horror comedy spoofs, and then the whole, how much of this do I want to self-publish anyways? You know, I still think there's a lot of benefit to being a hybrid published author, but with the mess that YA is in publishing right now, it's definitely making me reconsider some things. I still think it's a good idea. But yeah, so this is one of those things where I'm actually now tipping my toes into self-publishing, and it'll be interesting to see if, now that I have all of the control and all of the money, all, you know, my doing, it'll just be interesting to see if I still feel the same way. Basically, the trajectory of any of these other little subsets from goal 5 down, the only limit is truly my time, as I'm someone who's happy to come up with more pen names. And then at some point we have to talk about reader expectations and how quickly I can get certain things out. So I also, as someone who loves to play around with different genres, as I'm strategizing this, I want to give myself a break in certain genres potentially. Not necessarily break in terms of publishing, but break in terms of writing, so that I can use Millwordy to sort of see how long it would take me in each aspect and then come out with the actual publishing plan. Anyways, so strategizing is like goal 7. But it is that far down because ultimately it's not as important. It's not the thing. Strategizing isn't gonna make me money. It's not the actual book into readers' hands, so we gotta focus like this. Now, let's talk about my reading goals. I wanna join Storygraph, which is like the independent version of Goodreads. Goodreads is of course owned by Amazon. And I just think Storygraph looks so cool and it seems to have a better recommendation set. And this is potentially trying in vain to do what I've already tried, but instead of on Goodreads, we're gonna try Storygraph. So join Storygraph, log my books, and just write a little bit about every single book I read this year. My second goal is to come up with like a number or star system so that I have some means with which to rank them myself. I don't know that star rankings do a lot for anyone other than you unless you're like a critical reviewer. I tend to just be like, this was good because of X and X, but you might not like it because of Y. But I would like to have something for me, especially because I tend to forget some of the nuanced details sometimes. So it'd be like a nice reminder to just have 4 lines about the book. A novel concept. The real key here is I read in so many different genres, trying to come up with a system that can work across all of them. My third goal, and I'm gonna put a number to this, is that I think I'd like to read 26 books next year, because I'm now keeping track. 2020 has taught me that I sort of have peaks and valleys with my reading, even as I'm getting more regular at it again and listening to more audiobooks. But I feel like a book every 2 weeks is doable. In fact, I might even surprise myself because I have, I think the past 2 months, read 5 or 6 books each month. My fourth goal is to film more Cooking with Classics episodes. I haven't done a new one in the new kitchen as the layout is a little bit wonky. I haven't exactly figured out how I want to do it. We're also going to redo the kitchen at some point. And also partially, it's up on my TBR shelf at the very top. I've been reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which is just very long, so there hasn't been one recently. But yes, I'm thinking maybe like 6 a year would be my goal. I want to interrupt before the next goal to say that I used to have the goal in years past to read across more genres, but I think I've actually gotten so good at it that I don't think there's any point to putting it on this list of goals at all. In fact, my TBR, the whole point of it is having a new read in each of my preferred or favorite genres, which are like 6 or 7, and then also like a sort of exploratory genre that I don't read as much. So I've just gotten better at things, and it's nice to note that when I'm setting these big goals. So the 5th reading goal, and I'm putting it at the end here because it can kind of bleed over into the channel goals, is that I want to make more reading or booktube content. Right now I only really do writing related books or the, you know, reading vlog of the AuthorTube chat book club pick, but I'm hoping if I sort of dabble in booktube more regularly, then I can kind of retrain the algorithm to expect that from my channel. And also I just want to do it. So YouTube goal number 1 is I'd like to do TBRs each month. I'd like to do more reading vlogs as I'm participating in more sort of community booktube reading challenges like Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon. Ginger Reads Lady hosts a Smudathon. I want to participate. The second channel goal is actually to sort of experiment with the style of video. I've always really loved the more aesthetic videos, and they're not ones that I usually think I'm capable of, but I think I'm just kind of putting myself into a box. And as I find YouTube to be a kind of creative outlet, I think there's something to be said for sort of testing the bounds of your creativity and trying something new. So I'm thinking like once a month, I'm gonna play around more with transitions, which I love, either making an aesthetic sort of vlog or just doing a style of video that I don't often do. And then the third goal in quotes for the channel. I'm not going to set a subscriber goal, but I do love stats. So my favorites have kind of been like the retention and the sort of average viewers to subscriber ratio. I'm so fortunate that so many of you guys watch my videos, and I think the input I get from y'all has really shaped the channel into what it is now. So I'm hoping basically that even as I dabble in other things and other styles, I'll be able to keep that sort of average viewer to subscriber ratio sort of even. It's a very stats heavy, number heavy goal. But yes. So now let's go ahead and talk about the systems to achieve all of these goals. I read this book called Atomic Habits. I can't remember the author. I'll be a terrible booktuber. I actually took a lot of really great notes away from that, and I'm going to talk about that in a different video. But one of the things I've been doing each night is journaling before bed. It's been a goal of mine for so long to journal regularly and not just when I feel like I'm in a crisis. And a big takeaway from the Atomic Habits was basically just to have triggers in your mind and also to make things as easy as possible. So they even gave an example for if you wanted to journal more, and I was like, perfect. I'll try that. And so I've just been keeping my journal and a little light by my bed each night. And so it's always there. There's no reason not to journal before I go to sleep. And that has been a game changer, which it sounds like such a small thing, but like that's the point, is that these small habit changes can build up to something really cool, really great, whatever. So I'm already actively doing that, and it's helped a lot. And other changes I've made is that every morning I set my Forest app for 10 minutes. So literally as soon as I sit down at my desk each morning, I have a trigger to open the Forest app, 10 minutes, and that's all the amount of time I'm allowed to check my email and do any sort of like organization and planning for the day. I think oftentimes, especially what number was it? Number 7, strategizing in my writing goals. I think oftentimes we can get lost in that, and it feels like we need to focus so much on the future and like figuring everything out, when really 10-minute pocket and then just doing the work has really helped me. Because I've been mentioning the journaling, a lot of people have been telling me that I should try morning pages. And so that's not something I've done yet, but it's something I'm considering introducing. But the other big thing I have is timers. So I have timers to take my pills and timers to feed Duke his first and second bowl. Luckily for me, those are very like evenly spaced chunks of time. So it's the reminder I need to get up and either go on a walk or play with the puppies or do something not at the desk. But it also works to, when I sit back down, completely change what I'm working on for the next few hours until the next alarm goes off. It might be a jumble depending on where my freelance stuff is, but like that's the kind of system. You have to go down the hierarchy. Some days you just don't get as much done. Some days you wake up later, some days we have multiple errands to run. So no matter what, the most important thing is getting done for me each day. And I'm hoping as I'm sort of experimenting with this, doing the vlog and stuff, the epiphanies will come to me and I'll be able to add even more triggers and even more sort of small habits to change that'll help, you know, 9 months from now, 10 months from now, 12 and a half months from now at the very end of 2021. But those are all of my writing, reading, and channel related goals for 2021. And please do comment down below, let me know if like what your writing, reading, channel related goals are. And let me know what systems you're putting into place to work on those. Let me know also if you have a star rating system for books. How did you come up with your system? Does it work across multiple genres? But that is going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all very soon with the new video. I also did not finish the rest of this. The fourth main writing goal is to query project death. Ooh, can I say that better? Actually been the start. Oh no. What am I trying to do?